if you have to start paying it. So I don't know what the solution is. I mean, I one time figured out, somewhere around my malpractice was about, I don't know, 100, 120,000 a year. We had a New Canaan and a Norwalk and a Richfield office. And I figured that if let's say I worked 4 days a week and all I did was see Medicare patients all day, I couldn't even pay for my malpractice insurance. I mean, it's not your fault. People are making a lot of promises to get the votes of people, but when it's time to pay, again, no one's ever home, the providers. So, yeah.
Can you give me a reason why doctors would be for this? Because I have a group, I go to some cardiologists, and most of them are for Obama. And I asked my cardiologist, why are you? He couldn't really give me a good answer. I'd like to know, because I want to tell him some of this.
I think it's the doctors that they're choosing now. I mean, it seems to me, where I live a little more Norwalk and a little more western part of Connecticut, they all seem to be from New York City. I think it's the docs that they're picking. Also, once you become a hospital doctor, it's a different mindset. You're an employee. They're extremely unhappy at Danbury Hospital. I mean, my neighbor, they're moving her and two other, I don't want to say her specialty, around the corner out of the hospital building. So I said, well, what are they charging you, like $25,000? She said, no, Danbury's charging us $500,000 to move. And they take 20% of their payout every year. They never give it back. One year, they give it back. They can fire them in 90 days with no reason. So once you become an employee, now remember, one thing that President Obama wants to do is to take 21 million healthcare workers and get them in unions that will then make donations to some of the political parties. Now the doctors used to be very different. They were very independent. My dad, in his pediatric office, didn't miss one day of work in 41 years until he died of cancer. I mean, it's a different mindset that they had. He'd go out sometimes 3 times a night. Sometimes he'd call off his practice. Somebody, the older people here, remember the blue babies. Before we had Rogium for the Rh-negative women, so the baby would be born blue because the baby was attacking all its blood. He'd sit there for 3 days and 2 nights and take the blood out, and put the blood back in, exchange transfusions, and often could save a baby's life. But you know, it's a very different mindset when you're just an employee and you're 9 to 5. And there was a real sweet old doctor in Norwalk, Dr. Guthrie, GI doctor, just passed away. I didn't know that he was a sniper in the Korean War. He was just one of these tough old guys in single practice. Whereas the ones you get now are like, I don't know, corporate, or it's a very different mindset, unfortunately. Sir?
I have a neighbor who's a CPA, and he mentioned to me last week, I don't know if this is correct, there are at least 23 taxes in the Obama healthcare plan, most of which haven't kicked in yet. Direct and indirect taxes.
January 1st, it's going to be massive. And it's funny thing you mentioned CPAs. They did a study of IQ by profession, and the CPAs beat the doctors by 1 point. We say they're just good test takers, but sir, Pam?
I just want to make a statement about the facts that you had, like England versus us in healthcare. We have like the highest infant mortality. We're like on a third world basis, and also our life expectancy is way down. And I think the people who are dying and the new little babies who are dying are the 22 million who don't have insurance. And if everybody here is comfortable with that.
You touch on some interesting things. We don't have the best record. Now, some of it's lifestyle. Americans are the heaviest people on the planet. Also, think about the violence going on in Chicago. That affects our length of life. So they always use that against us. They also use it against the teachers. You know, look, your students can't read and write. A lot of it's more the home. You know, if the leading or second leading cause of death for black males is getting shot, that does affect how long Americans live. What's a little bit tough on us, because Ted Kennedy just always used to beat on us with this, is, let's say Holland, I'm going to exaggerate a little, they're all college-educated women who take their prenatal vitamins and they go and have their babies. We might have to deal with inner-city, HIV-positive, drug-addicted prostitute who happen to get pregnant. So some of it, a little bit, is, you know, different groups, you know what I mean? The other thing is, in 1900, the average American woman lived to be 45 years old. It's almost 79 or 80 now. But it actually wasn't the doctors that did that, it was the plumbers, by having clean water and clean sewer, that did a lot of it in the first half of the century. Sir?
I just want, different countries measure infant mortality in a different way. And we have a way of measuring it. I think it's within the first year or something. but we have a very different way of measuring infant mortality, so that the numbers don't reflect.
That's a very good point. The states even are different. Sometimes if a baby dies, where do you separate like a preemie from food? Some it's 500 grams, some it's 24 weeks. And trust me, Cuba and Turkey, some of these places, let's say the baby dies. You know, so you have to be careful with statistics, for sure.
I was going to say, statistics can be made to come out the way
Yes.
they want it to.
Yeah.
You just prove what.
She's saying statistics can be all bent and changed. But I mean, for myself, I had just a horrible, horrible cancer, and Yale and Emory said you have a 2% chance to live a year. I just can't believe. I had a ton of surgery at Yale. I had a ton of radiation. Every day when I wake up, it's like a bonus. I like thank you for an extra day, you know. So I mean, to me, it's just an incredible healthcare system. The other thing too, we don't differentiate. I mean, I've delivered 300 illegal immigrants' babies. They get epidurals. Well, you trust me, they're quick to sue. My group had 4 lawsuits in a row from immigrants. Some legal, some not legal. 2 from the Caribbean, 2 from Eastern Europe. I mean, they get the same care. We don't look. When you come in an emergency room, faint, like we'll have a lot of women walk in, they'll get those tubal pregnancies where they've bursted and they've lost about 2/3 of the blood already, faint in our office, or they faint in the emergency room. We don't look to see if they have insurance. We don't care about that. You know what I mean?
Excuse me? Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
I guess I may be slightly different from most people here, but one of my main concerns is I'm very independent on how I care for my body. And I, as probably most of us, want to choose what kind of care that I receive. I tend to choose natural medicine. And I'm extremely concerned that under these laws, the medicine that I feel gives me excellent health and has kept me where I'm very comfortable with my lifestyle will be taken from me. And I just feel that we have to exert ourselves in the rights that we have as individuals for the kind of care that we choose to receive. And this is not acceptable, and I'm kind of wondering why we weren't able to have these kinds of presentations before this law was put into effect.
Right, it should have been. They promised that they were going to post all the laws online 72 hours before they got voted on, and as you know, it didn't happen. I love that you're getting control of, that you're in control of your health. Me too. I don't take any medicines. I try to exercise. I try to sort of watch my weight. I love that. That's how we all need to be.